All right, what is going on, guys? Time for something that is extremely long overdue. And this video is going to be sort of very hard to portray and hard to give you all the information, but I'm going to do my very best, and I will leave comments and reply to comments as best as I can. And that is regarding the head unit in my 2005 Jeep Grand Cherokee. As a lot of you know, I have a limited package, and I didn't know it actually has Boston Acoustics, regular radio, but when I bought it, it had an aftermarket system, a single DIN unit. But the guy that installed it didn't hook up the steering wheel controls, which is an extra module. It's an extra money. So I had no steering wheel controls when from factory you normally had them. And I was not able to adjust fade and balance. And the sound quality wasn't good. I did not have Bluetooth. And the connection for the iPhone was just very finicky. It would say it's not compatible, yada yada. So it's just very frustrating, and it was extremely ugly. I just hated it. It looked like little Mickey Mouse ears, and although it was nice to have an aftermarket unit, I just really was not happy with it. And now, since I'm going to be driving it a lot more in the wintertime, it is almost the end of November here. I decided to bite the bullet. You know, I always think about getting a different car and whatnot, but it just makes sense. Spend a few $100, get the right thing, and then keep the Jeep for a little bit longer. So that's what I decided to do. I ended up being a bigger project than I wanted it to be. So this might be a little bit longer than I want, but just bear with me here if you're interested. Anything Jeep related, or really car audio. This was supposed to be sort of just a drop and swap with the head unit. But it ended up being a lot more work than I anticipated, really just because of the bezel, but I will be getting to that. So I went with the Pioneer NEX 2330, which is one of the highest end double DIN units. It has Apple CarPlay, it has Bluetooth, it has a DVD player, so I can watch movies as I drive, as I please, you know. If I'm bored on the road, I can just pop Pirates of the Caribbean in and watch it. But I wanted something that was going to last, and the interface seemed to work pretty quickly. It wasn't too laggy. I know that these systems, they sort of operate like Android-ish from what I understand. I wanted a double DIN and Apple CarPlay. I asked all my friends I knew, and everyone said it's definitely worth a little bit extra money, or, you know, $50, $100 extra, which is really not a lot in the grand scheme of things to have that feature. And I did learn, I don't know if I was the only one out here, but Apple CarPlay is not through the Bluetooth. You have to plug in your phone, which I did not know. I don't know if that's something that everybody knew, but I assumed it was through the Bluetooth. So that's kind of annoying, but maybe Apple will up their game and it'll be Bluetooth only. That'd be nice. So anyways, I went with the Pioneer system, and all I wanted to do was drop and swap it. But what happened was I had the stock radio, and one of the things that I'm going to go through is the stock head unit has two little cutouts, and one of my friends actually called them Mickey Mouse ears. It looks like Mickey Mouse ears, and the way that it was before did kind of look ugly, but once you put the double DIN in, I just didn't want it. It didn't look complete, it didn't look right. So what I did was I bought the satellite radio version of this Jeep. The Jeep doesn't have the double DIN from the factory, but mine, I ended up just buying the bezel, because I figured, hey, I'll just use that bezel. Why not? It should fit. The clips should be the same. But it turns out that the very top of the bezel, which I will hopefully be able to show you, doesn't clip in the same. So all the clips match. It sort of just kind of goes in a little square, but the top of the bezel rests on top of the dash, and I thought that I'd have to trim it, and I actually printed out a return label to send it back, because it was actually fairly expensive. It was like over $150, which is a lot. So I bought that, and it ended up working out really well. So what I did is, I would recommend, if you have a Jeep Grand Cherokee, so this is very specific to my car, I have a WK, it's a 2005 limited package, and it had the regular head unit, regular radio with the little dials with factory amp. So I got the Pioneer unit, and I bought the satellite radio. But I would also buy is the satellite slash, you know, navigation bezel mounting brackets, because originally when I bought the unit, it said, what radio do you have? I said regular radio. So of course, all the mounting hardware that I bought from Crutchfield was for the regular unit, so that's not going to work. So this has the really nice black finish. It looks perfect. Originally I tried to modify my original unit because it said some cutting is involved, which was not on Crutchfield's website, which was a little disappointing because usually they're very good. I usually go through them. I don't know what you guys do regarding car audio, but their support, really it's about the customer support, because there's always going to be questions for car audio. I've never installed speakers or stereos or whatever really without calling them at some point. I would definitely recommend calling them before you order, because I would have learned that some trimming was involved with my stock unit, but I ended up pitching that. It would have been bad. I wouldn't have cut it well. I ended up borrowing someone's Dremel, but using the satellite radio unit was definitely the way to go. But I will say that the lip that juts out is resting on top of the dash. It doesn't plug into it, but you can't tell it. Honestly, I was making a joke with my friend Jeff, who helped me, about Chrysler Fit and Finish or whatever, but it looks about the same as Chrysler Fit and Finish. Like, if you get in my car now, you're not going to be able to tell that there's actually like a little bit of a lip here on the head unit. So it actually looks perfect. I'd much rather have that than anything else, so that's what I went with. The wiring was a little bit difficult. It took us twice, but we did include Maestro units, so we got the harness as well as the Maestro steering wheel controls here, which was really important to me. That was one of the biggest features that I hated losing, was knowing that it came from the factory with steering features, and then I didn't have them anymore. So if I was going to be upgraded, I wanted to do it right. I wanted to be able to control the volume and the tuning and all that stuff. The voice commands with the button in the middle. It's kind of a cool sort of hidden. Chrysler is really one of the few companies that does this with the sort of the hidden buttons on the back, you can call them. And it's really nice that I have those. Once again, I've never experienced that on this Jeep yet, because when I bought it, it already had that basic aftermarket radio. So that wraps up the wiring. I would definitely recommend the Maestro, and you have to have a Windows computer to program it. So every car is different, because every car maker and vehicle has different settings for the steering wheel. But what was really cool is you could custom program it. So it gives you the default for each side of the steering wheel, but you can actually include like the one that you hold, the middle button, what does it do? So I chose that the right is volume up and down, and then the right middle, there's a middle button in between the little rocker. I did that if you hold it for 3 seconds, it's a voice command. So that's really cool. And then the other side is just seek up and down, so change the song up or down, or on the radio. And I think the middle might be mute, or vice versa, but you can program it. And I guess if I really wanted to, I can take that little unit out, bring it back in the house, and then reprogram it to something else. But I tried to keep it pretty easy and standard. I didn't want to overcomplicate it. So definitely recommend the little Maestro unit. It's for the Maestro and the harness and all that stuff is $150 separate from the Pioneer unit, which is a little bit steep, but it's mostly the Maestro unit. It's the harness and all the wires and the mounting software is really not. It's not that much, but the actual Maestro unit is really what increases the price, at least on Crutchfield's site. So I went with that. And one other thing that I learned was I tried to make a call on Apple CarPlay or just through the Bluetooth. Either way you can make a call. It doesn't really matter. It's just how you have it just plugged in or not plugged in. And I was able to, the person was able to hear me, but I couldn't hear them through the speakers. So what happened is for some reason with these Jeeps that I called Crutchfield, with really nice support, this dude just kind of bared with me for a while. He told me to switch the white and the green wires, which I believe are the rear right and then the front right. And for some reason that fixes the issue where I can now hear them, because I believe by default the audio from a call, which this car from the factory is capable of doing, only gives you voice audio from certain speakers. And that doesn't affect the fade and balance, believe it or not, because the fade and balance goes through the amp and then goes through the head unit. So he was explaining to me that the sort of the way that the head unit works, it takes into account if you swap those two wires. If I said, well, if I wanted the front right louder, wouldn't it screw up the back? And he said, no, it would be okay. And so far from what I can tell, it's still okay. So that was a really weird, I'm gonna put the wiring diagram on this video if you guys are interested. I sort of want to almost create like a forum post. I might do one on the Jeep forum, but this ended up being a much bigger project. And I did find out when I bought, so I mentioned, so this is sort of all over the place, but I'm going to show you footage. I'm going to cut to different things. I bought the navigation bezel and insert and brackets. Actually, I did grab that from Amazon because I knew for sure it would be 2-day shipping. Crutchfield is pretty much 2 days, but I know Amazon, and they've always had 2-day shipping for the Prime stuff, so I just went with that for that one order. And the middle of the bracket, so you have your square bracket, had a, you know, a mounting point through the middle, a plastic, you know, a plastic piece. I wonder if I still have it. So this is one of the pieces. There's two of them that go through the middle, and it was just really frustrating that I literally had to like break it off. And I don't think they were meant to be broken off, but it was weird. But it fits perfectly in there. And the other thing which sort of makes this a special unit is the screen is, I believe, like 7 inches in diagonally, which is one of the biggest screens out there, which is what I really like. And it also tilts, so if there's really bad sun or there's an angle or however there's some issue, is the screen actually tilts forward, which I think is really cool, as well as being able to fit a CD in there. So you can fit a CD and a DVD in there. Even the clock on my other unit was like, it was literally the smallest corner of the unit, and anytime someone was in my car, they're like, how do you tell the time? And I just would try to use my phone or something like that. But so that was it. I think that I covered everything. I know that this might have been sort of a snooze fest for some people. If they're here just for the M3, then I'm sorry, you know, maybe skip through or whatever. But I learned a lot. I did learn that my car, my Jeep Grand Cherokee, has the Boston Acoustics sound system, which means if you do have the amp, which I do, factory amp, Boston Acoustics, that means you do have the Boston Acoustics system. Crutchfield confirmed that, and another Jeep guy that I've talked to did confirm that as well. So I am 90% sure that that's the case. And I did not know I had the amp, and when I was originally trying to get it in, the unit in, and it wasn't, so it was powered up and everything was working, so this was the first time, but nothing was coming out of the speakers. There's no clicking, there's no fuzz, there's nothing. That was something that I was like, you know what? And then the guy said, hey, do you have the factory amp? I said, I'm not sure. He said, well, we might need to do factory bypass. Factory amp bypass, which I really didn't want to do. I wanted to utilize the factory amp if possible, because this unit does have an amplifier in it, which makes it another reason that makes it great. But even if that factory amp is fairly weak, it's already hooked up, first of all, and second of all, I think that having a separate dedicated unit to power the speakers is going to be good. I will be, I guess, selling the head unit that was in the Jeep. I will try to put like a picture or something of it if anyone's interested. I mean, it's gonna be cheap. I mean, maybe like 20 bucks plus shipping or whatever. I don't know if anyone that has any vehicle would be interested in something like that. I mean, it works fine. It worked for the Jeep. I didn't have any like major issues with it, other than the fact that it just didn't have the capabilities that this one does. You know, that's $100 or so unit, and this one's, you know, $450 or whatever. So it's a much bigger, you know, it's a different market. You can't compare them. So if anyone's interested in that, let me know. Leave a comment or message me on Instagram. I'll probably just throw it up on eBay at some point just to see if anyone wants just a cheap, quick unit to put in whatever car they have. Yeah, so anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope I didn't leave anything out. I will try to put a link for every single thing that I used for this in the description. I hope that this helps mainly the Jeep owners. I know that the BMW guys or whatever other guys that are watching this, you can sort of get the 30,000 foot view of the experience of installing car audio, which is sort of a past passion of mine. When I was in college, I really liked it. Like I mentioned, I had a system and all that good stuff, so it kind of brings me back. And this thing is, there's a few days that to be honest with you guys, I'm driving the M3 a lot less to work, but there's a few days last week where I didn't even have the full bezel installed, but I had the Pioneer unit in here, and I just drove the Jeep because the system was fun to use. It sounded amazing, and it's a nice experience, and it's really cool to have kind of cool tech in a vehicle like this. So that was one of the big reasons I hated driving this car, is because the head unit was just so crappy. It was just hard to deal with. So, and it didn't have Bluetooth, and I had a little special module I kept charging and then bringing out here and plugging into the headphone jack just so I could get Bluetooth, because the plug didn't work, and it was just a huge pain. But I digress. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a comment below if I did forget anything. I tried to cover every single thing, but this was one of the hardest videos I've ever filmed to try to portray the chain of events. So I figured sitting here describing, and I'll show you my footage, that will help you install in any vehicle, but like you get sort of a sense of the steps that I took. And it was a lot of trial and error in this case. Normally it's not, so don't let this sway you from installing a head unit. My idea of getting the big bezel satellite radio, I keep saying that, navigation for the Jeep. I bought the navigation bezel. That was definitely the right choice. It was definitely worth the money, and it did save me a lot of hassle. I shouldn't have trimmed my stock one. Now it goes in the trash, but no big deal. So that's it. I'm gonna wrap this video up. It's getting late, as you can see. I have like a light. It's like 6 p.m. right now, and it looks like it's 9:30 or 10. But once again, thanks so much for watching. Leave a comment below. Check out the links. I put them all in the description, and I will see you guys next time. Oh, we have a lot of things to plug in over here.
Yeah, go through the process, my man. Give everybody the rundown, bruh.
Alrighty. I'm just gonna literally plug everything in. So
we're rolling, so.
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay,
so don't say anything stupid. Is that what you're trying to tell me? You're sounding stupid right now.
We're gonna plug all this stuff in.
I'm just gonna plug it in. Well, if it doesn't work, we know whose fault that is.
This is true.
I'm just wondering.
Brandon bought the wrong harness.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
I bought the right one. Thank God.
I was being a female and giving an excuse for everything. The extra one. Yeah.
Losing my mind.
Bro. Getting too excited about the head unit installation.
Controls. Sweet.
Dude, your camera's hair is in the way of the screen a little bit.
Yeah, just the screen though. It's not recording it. It's just on the screen.
Yeah, so I know. Yeah.
Alright, I'm even gonna plug in the mic. I'm that confident.
Oh shit. Gonna have to fucking call somebody.
What if it calls like, oh jeez, people I don't want to call?
Someone in Chile?
Yeah.
Calls your mom, that'd be perfect.
You should talk to her.
Brandon seems to be having some trouble with this little plug here.
Alright, so this thing has a little Hey Siri action, so it has a microphone, which I'm going to hook up, probably put right on top of here. And we're obviously running it all the way. We're going to tuck it nice underneath the trim, so you won't even know. I always like to look that you can't even see that it's here, so that's what we're doing right now.